no content. Don't throw me with so much now. I'm sorry, I'm gone.
I'm sorry, I'm not staying too. Good night, Loretta.
Daphne's asleep by now, so you can't get none of that tonight.
What's going on, fellas? It's another C Boogie. Y'all know the rest. I want to salute you guys for subscribing to my channel. Also want to thank you guys for liking my videos. Shout out to the Dime Game Division. All right, let's rock and roll, man. How women view non-attractive guys versus attractive guys. And the general consensus that I've been getting from females that I've been talking to in my personal life, you know, just doing my field research, shout out to Ron Wills, is a lot of women say that non-attractive guys are very mean. You know, they're very insecure. They play a lot of psychological games. You know, they're very bitter, very possessive, etc. Right? And I can see the logic in that from the lack of options, you know, and the low self-esteem that they can come with. But it is some nuance to this. So let's take the 80-20 dynamic, right? You know, the 80-20 rule. Truth be told, man, the 80-20 rule, that 20% of men that women would deem sexual attractive and, you know, just overall handsome guys, that 20% is going to be different for each woman. You know, now that might be a small percent of guys that the majority of women would just say, you know what, he looks good. But it doesn't mean that they're going to want to sleep with these guys. You dig? Because when it comes to sex appeal, there's a lot more factors that go into that. You know, you got race, you got culture, you know, you got class, you got age, how a man carries himself. You dig? How he walks, how he talks. You know, do other men respect him? You know, so there are other factors that can make a man sexually attractive in a woman's eyes more than just a particular look, man. Real talk. So that 20% is going to shift depending on a woman, right? But nonetheless, in a woman's eyes, through her eyes, they don't even like most guys still, you know, but it's not the same set of guys for each woman. So even if you're not in the 20% for woman A, you could be in the 20% for woman B. So you got to understand the nuance in that. You know, a lot of guys think certain things are just a death sentence. You know, if you're not over 6 feet, that's a death sentence. Nah, man, that's not what that means. When most women say that they want a tall guy, usually they mean just taller than them. You know what I mean? Because they realize all niggas not going to be 6'5". Excuse me. All men are not going to be 6'5". All men are not going to be 6'3". Most men are not even 6 foot. You know what I mean? So, you know, you got to understand that. But even in that hierarchy of men, through the eyes of women, is always going to be the guys that can provide safety and shelter first. You know, so ideally, women would want the lust factor and the guys that can provide safety, shelter, and resources all in one package, but you definitely don't have enough of those guys to go around. So the guys that can provide safety and shelter, they're going to take priority even over the guys with the lust factor. You know, so it's like a 1 and 1A, right? So you got the guys that can take, you got the guys that can provide safety and shelter. They're number 1. Then you got the guys that females deem sexually attractive. That's like 1A. And then below that, you know, you got the guys that can provide other things for a woman. You know, come over and you know, cut our grass or shovel the snow or change our oil or hang up a chandelier in our room, things of that nature. Then at the bottom of the list, you got guys that females look at as a lick. You know, that's at the very bottom. You dig? So yeah. And from what I'm hearing from a lot of females when I'm doing my field research is a lot of attractive guys, you know, guys with a good body on them, a nice tight body on them, or, you know, guys with some sex appeal about them, you know, they come off more cool, you know, like they've been there before because of the options that they have. So I can see the logic in that too. You know what I'm saying? You know, and even in the eyes of women, even if these guys have multiple women in their life, women will still deal with them. You know, for one, they already been pre-selected, you know, so the hard work is already done. Women don't want a guy that another female doesn't want, you know, so you got the pre-selection process already done, and women tend to get enthused by a man with options, you know what I mean? Even though they might not necessarily like the fact that they got to share this man, they still get enthused on, okay, why are these other females going crazy after this guy? You know, it's a crazy, ill dynamic like that. But nonetheless, it's true. You know, nonetheless, it's true. So, really, non-attractive guys, for the most part, in the eyes of women, they actually become like an annoyance. And if women didn't need these guys for anything, food, shelter, resources, opportunities, jobs, they would just totally disregard these guys altogether. You know, because there's this myth out here that women are just begging for the attention of non-attractive guys. You know, they just all up in their face trying to get something from them. And I beg to differ. Most women would just totally disregard the guys that they deem unattractive, man. Truth be told. I mean, the same way a guy just disregards a female that's overweight and ugly, well, women do the same shit. You know, women do the same shit. And also, depending on where a female is at in her life, the stage that she's at in her life is also going to dictate you know, sexual attractiveness of a guy. You know, so a female that might be, you know, 25 and younger, you know, everything probably would be based off of looks. You know what I'm saying? The way his face looked and his body build. You know what I mean? But obviously, a female that's into her 30s, mid-30s, you know, there are other factors that women tend to take into consideration too. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think it was Nicole Michelle that said, you got some guys that are one night stand sexy, and you got guys that are husband fine, you know, or boyfriend fine. So women tend to look at that as well. You know what I'm saying? They may not have a one night stand with you, but they would go on a couple dates, and if everything check out clean, then they would still sleep with you. See what I mean? So it is what it is. And that's why I tell guys to really know your lane. And don't get upset at your lane. You know, and stop wasting a bunch of time trying to change the women in your lane, and just change the lane if you don't like yours. You know what I mean? You don't have to accept your lane, but you might have to tweak a couple things to get into another lane if that's what you ultimately want to do. You know what I'm saying? But no two men are alike, nonetheless. You know, no two men are alike. So, but you're probably asking yourself the question, well, how are ugly guys getting played with women? Well, very easy. Those guys are more laid back and cool. You know what I mean? They have a lot of charisma, and charisma equals sex appeal. You know what I mean? Real talk. And they know how to connect with a woman. You know what I'm saying? Nothing will ever replace the pure lust factor. Don't get it twisted. Nothing will. You know what I mean? That's just a different feeling that a man gives a woman. But truth be told, that's only a temporary feeling, man. You know know what I'm saying? That's not going to sustain itself alone. You dig? So gotta understand that too. You know what I mean? So that's how women view the majority of guys in society, man. You know, just doing my field research on this type of shit. You dig? Genetics is genetics, man. Genetics is genetics, man. Can't do nothing about your height. Only thing that you can do something about is your body. And from my experience, that was the most important thing. I mean, obviously, the boogeyman always had the same face. I mean, since I was a kid. But like I always tell guys, things changed for me in the sexual arena once I got my body right. I mean, it was really like night and day. My experiences with women, man. Real talk. So, shout out to Rom. He always talk about the body game, but that's real deal. You know, and think about this, man. Women with their own money, women with their own jobs, their own house, their own car, dog. Their selection criteria is going to be a lot different than a female that's desperate for money. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. So we living in a society where women have the same opportunities to make money as men. In a lot of cases, make more money than men. You did? So it is what it is, right? So think about that. This is how women view attractive guys versus non-attractive guys. You know, and truth be told, if it was up to most women, you know, they would surround themselves with nothing but attractive guys. Nothing but guys that they will potentially be able to mate with. You know, and from what I'm hearing from women, attractive guys are a lot more cool, a lot more laid back. They know how to act. They're not bitter. They're not anxious. You know, so I can see the logic in that as well. You dig? I can see the logic in that as well. And I don't want to get into no stories, man, but yo, man, just really quick. I had a roommate, man, some years back when I was living in Texas. You know, my boy Chill Will. You know, we had a bachelor crib, but he ended up marrying this young Dominican chick from Germany, man. And beautiful girl, man, looked like Beyonce, but he had very low self-esteem, man. And you know, he was a real dark-skinned dude. He had a big-ass gap in his teeth and shit. And you know, me and him had some very personal conversations. And he told me, you know, girls used to talk about him when he grew up, and you know, they made fun of him. And because of that, it made his self-esteem very low, dog. But anyway, and because his wife was really beautiful, you know, he didn't know how to deal with her, man. And even when I was in the house with him, he would grind on this girl. He would grind on this girl. She would do the smallest things, you know what I mean? And he would just grind on her, man. Grinded that girl into ashes, man. And I ended up moving out the crib, man. You know what I'm saying? I just went on, got my own spot, and you know, just cut that dude off and shit. You know what I mean? Because it eventually turned into a domestic violence situation. You know, and truth be told, like, the girl really ain't do nothing wrong, man. He was just very insecure within his own self.